Greetings, attendees. I see that people are starting to come into our College as a Choice webinar here. We're excited to have you. This is the American Indian College Fund supporting high school to college enrollment. We are going to be talking about college as a choice today for high school students and prospective students that have not gone to college before. We're going to give everybody just a moment to log in, and also we would like to welcome high school students to participate virtually with us through menti.com. If you go to www.menti.com, you can use the code 81380022 to log in and join. We have a couple of high school activities that we are going to be doing in questions, so feel free to log in if you are a high school student and you'd like to participate with us virtually. We do have a Q&A feature open for if you have any questions or need any assistance, so please feel free to drop any questions throughout the webinar into the Q&A. We do not have an active chat from attendees going to the panelists, but we will be dropping some things in the chat that you can see from us. So you'll be able to see what we share with you, but if you have questions, you will need to use the Q&A. We'll get started in one more minute. This is College as a Choice. Thank you for those of you who are logging in. We're excited to have you to discuss what your options are after graduating from high school. For those who have just logged in, we'd like to welcome high school students to go to menti.com. You can use a phone, you can use a laptop, whatever your school is okay with you participating and using. Feel free to log on to menti.com. The code is 81380022. All right, Erin, next slide. Before we get started, we have attendees that are logging in. I just wanted to find out who is watching from what state. So feel free to go to menti.com and use the code on the very top of the page there and let us know what state you're watching from. We know that it takes a moment for everybody to log in, so we're just going to give a moment for everybody to log in. Feel free to let us know what state you are watching from on menti.com. Welcome, California. I'm going to drop the link for Menti again into the chat in case there is anybody who just came in and missed it just a few minutes ago when Erin posted it. We are logging on to menti.com, passcode 81380022. I see that Montana and Colorado are in the house. Welcome. All right, we're going to move on to the next slide, but you will still be able to participate in these Menti questions. They will be continuing to record even after we move on to the next slide. So Erin, go ahead. I'd like to start by introducing myself and then providing Erin a chance to introduce herself as well. So I'm going to introduce myself in my native language. Kanu Khwitbisi, Uvanga Sikinyagetsak, Uvanga Sandy. Hi, everybody. Welcome. My native name is Sun is Shining. That's more of a nickname, so I do go by Sandy. I am the College Readiness Program Administrator at the American Indian College Fund. I am Inupiaq. I was born and raised in Anchorage, Alaska. However, I am now living in Oregon. So I am talking to you from sunny Oregon today. Erin, go ahead.
Oops, forgive me, I lost track of my mouse. Hello, everybody. Please forgive me for joining without my camera. I'm recovering from a cold that took me out this week, so I apologize for that. My name is Erin Redshirt. I'm Sikanju in Ogallala, Lakota. I'm based in Denver, Colorado, so that's where our home office is located out of. I am the program assistant for College Access and Success, so I provide a lot of wraparound support for our Student Success Services team. So I'm really excited to be joining you all today, and I look forward to the discussions that are going to take place. Thank you.
Thank you, Erin. And not with us today, but somebody I wanted to do a shout out for is our College Readiness Associate, Jenna Gray. She actually created this presentation that you will be seeing today and is currently out with a new little one. So Jenna, thank you very much for all of your hard work. Next slide. We'd like to begin with a land acknowledgement, which we usually base on our Denver office location in Colorado, which is the traditional ancestral lands of the Cheyenne, Arapaho, and Ute nations. In addition, there are 48 other tribes that have cultural ties to the land in Colorado, and we just want to pause for a moment and respect and show gratitude to the original stewards of the land. Next slide. For our agenda today, we're going to be talking for the bulk of the time with our student panelists about why students might consider college. We'll have a couple little Mentimeter activities through the session today, asking students to kind of think about what their options are after graduation and what they hope to achieve for themselves, their family, and potentially their community. We will also like to introduce you to Adriana as well. She is working with the first year's program at the College Fund, and we'll be talking about that a little bit at the end of our presentation. And then we will end with some closing remarks that'll be reminders about our scholarship links. And then we have some prizes if you complete our surveys. We'll go over all of that as well. Next slide. If you are curious what we're raffling off today, we are raffling high school students prizes that you can see on the page here. So we've got some really cool stuff. We've got the natives bag, it's a gym bag. We've got some smartwatches. We have a Bluetooth water bottle, one of those Polaroid, old-fashioned Polaroid type cameras. We also have a projector that works with your smartphones and light up frisbees too. So we are asking all high school students and their parents and guardians who attend or watch the recording by Friday, next Friday, to complete the survey after the event to be entered into the raffle for prizes. Next slide. So I just wanted to pause really quick and ask how many of you are considering college as a choice? Go ahead, log into Menti and let us know what you're thinking just before we get started. Yes, definitely going. I think so, probably, maybe, unsure. That's totally fine. Especially we understand that you have a lot of choices after college, and we just wanted to talk with you about this as an option to explore. Or no, I have other plans, or I've already been to college. I put that one in there especially for our teachers and staff and parents who are watching. Thank you to those of you who are logging on Menti. Again, that code is 81380022. Thank you for dropping that into the chat, Erin. All right, we're going to keep moving on. However, this will continue to record answers. So feel free to log into Menti at any time through this presentation and put your answers in. Next slide. So this presentation will go over why I consider college as a choice. And just some things we wanted to help students think about is that college graduates generally earn more money and have better employment opportunities than non-graduates. We'll actually get into some of the data in just a slide or two here. But college is an opportunity to gain financial literacy, begin networking, and broaden horizons personally and professionally. Data shows that graduates tend to have increased career stability and satisfaction in the ability to make an impact on or in their communities. Next slide. We actually posed this question earlier this year in one of our other webinars, but students, I would like to just welcome you throughout the presentation today as you're listening to our panelists to think about what's important to you. Feel free to ask yourself, like, what do you want for your life and for your family? And that could be anything: housing, transportation, healthcare, food, amenities, technology, community, culture, any living needs that you can think of. What is important to you? And what are your options after graduation to obtain it? And finally, are those options you're looking for the right fit for what you would like? Next slide. So here's a little graph that kind of summarizes what some of those options are if you consider college. If you look at this data here, this comes from the National Center for Educational Statistics. You can see kind of the median annual earnings of full-time year-round the workers based on their level of educational attainment. So it goes from less than high school completed all the way up to a master's degree or higher. We will be sharing this entire presentation with you after this event. So if you want to take a closer look at it later, no worries. We will be sending this in a follow-up email tomorrow so that you can take a really close look at it. But just some things to think about. Next slide. If you're worried about the cost of college, because we know that college can be expensive, we wanted to just remind you that tribal college is an option. Many of our tribal colleges provide whole student wraparound educational support services and resources. All of them have cultural wellness components. They do support tribal sovereignty. Our tribal colleges that the College Fund works with, there are 35 in 14 states. They all have a wide diversity of degrees and majors across the colleges. And they're really well known for how great they are at supporting your personal and cultural well-being and sense of community connection. Next slide. Some fast facts about the tribal colleges: they tend to be about $6,700 less than the national average for tuition. And over 80% of tribal college students, TCU stands for tribal colleges and universities, over 80% of TCU students qualify for financial aid. And when you look at how well they are doing at supporting their students, 53% of tribal college graduates surveyed strongly agree that they had a mentor at the tribal college who encouraged them to pursue their goals and dreams. This is in comparison to 28% of graduates nationally, and 26% of traditional college graduates too. So tribal colleges, they have some strengths that are worth considering. Next slide. We are going to start our student panelist Q&A. Erin will be asking them questions, and they're going to be telling you about their college experiences as they answer the questions. And we just wanted to let all of the attendees know that if you have questions for the panelists, please feel free to drop them in our Q&A section, and they will answer them after the panel. So if there are things you're wondering about, please feel free to put anything you're wondering about in the Q&A. All right, next slide. I'm going to let Erin take it over from here so that she can welcome each of the panelists to introduce themselves.
Thank you, Sandy. So I'm going to introduce our student panelists, and we're just gonna go in the order of the pictures that we have here on our Mentimeter. So first we'll introduce Hannah, and then Randy, and then Stephanie, and then right afterwards we'll jump into the panel session of this. So feel free to introduce yourselves, starting with Hannah.
Hi, sorry. Hi, my name is Hannah Iron Eyes, and I'm a member of the Standing Rock Sioux tribe that is located on the North and South Dakota border. I am a senior at United Tribes Technical College, where I have been attending school for my degree in elementary education. Sorry, you'll have to excuse me. I'm also getting over a cold, so I still sound a little nasally. Back to it, I have also attended other colleges besides my TCU, so I feel like I've experienced a lot of different college atmospheres. including Bismarck State College and the University of Utah. I'm a second generation college student, and that means that one of my parents went to college, and I'm the second generation in my family to attend college. And in my spare time, I have my substitute teacher's license. So I sub at one of the local elementary schools, and I'm vice president of the Student Government Association at United Tribes, as well as vice president of the Student Professional Education Council.
Thank you, Hannah.
Hmm?
And now we'll introduce Randy.
Can you see me? Okay. Hi, my name is Randy Estrin. I'm Tlingit and Haida. I'm from Ketchikan, Alaska. I just graduated from Haskell Indian Nations University with my bachelor's in science degree of business administration with an emphasis on management. And I'm a first generation college student. So I'm the first one in my family to get my associates and my bachelor's. And yeah, I think that's about it.
Awesome. Thank you, Randy. And of course, congratulations as well. Next, we'll go ahead and introduce Stephanie.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Robinson. I am a first generation descendant of the Confederated Salish and Kootenai tribes. For anyone who doesn't know, that means that my father is an enrolled member of the tribe, and then I am a direct descendant from him. I have my degree in psychology and women and gender studies from the University of Montana, and I am currently enrolled at Salish Kootenai College in their nursing department. I'm in my 3rd year. I am the chapter president for Western Montana Medical Area Brigades, and I am a student ambassador with the American Indian College Fund. I am a wife and a mom to 2 girls, and then I have 2 lab puppies.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Stephanie. Now we're going to go ahead and move forward with the panel and kind of just get to know more of our panelists. So just like before, we're going to go in the order of Hannah, Randy, and Stephanie for each of these questions. And also just a reminder, if you have any questions yourself, to feel free to use the Q&A portion of Zoom. So we'll go ahead and jump into our first question, which is, what role do you see a college education / degree playing in your life or your future? Let's start with Hannah.
So in my family, they always told me that if I wanted to pursue a career that was possibly more fulfilling and where I could possibly be happier, I would need to have a college education. And they always told me that a college education is a ticket to being a teacher, and having that fulfilling career. And one way that they exemplified that for me was my mom. She struggled and put herself through college pretty much on her own, and it got her so far in life. She has all the things that she needs and things that she wants, and education has just really been able to provide for us, and that's how I want to provide for myself and my loved ones in the future.
I had a follow-up question for Hannah. Can you talk with our audience a little bit about what it looks like for education to provide for you?
Yeah, so what I mean by that is education can provide more opportunities for you, and it can push you farther into the professional world than I think having versus not having a degree. There are those special cases where people who don't have degrees get extremely far in the professional world. I'm not saying that you do need a degree, but I do think that for the majority of people, having a degree is one of the most helpful things to help you, I guess, kind of propel forward in the business world and the professional world.
Wonderful. Thank you, Hannah. We'll go ahead and move on to Randy, and I'll reiterate the question as well, just to remind the viewers. So Randy, what role do you see a college education / degree playing in your life or future?
So the role that I see a college education / degree playing in my future is, it's, for me, it's acted as, like a pathway to making a lot of great connections with people. Like obviously you're going to learn a lot in the classroom. You're going to get a lot of great advice from other students that, maybe they're a year or two ahead of you, from professors, advisors, like everyone there's so much opportunities to get, a lot of good, not only like advice in the classroom, but also, advice for life. Because a lot of the skills that I learned in college, I know I'm going to be using them almost on a weekly basis throughout life. And also it is acted like as a stepping stone to go to a lot of places that I never would have went to if I wasn't enrolled in college, going to conferences, the ACES conference, the ABLE conference, all these conferences, it's because I got involved on campus, and I got involved with my peers and, my professors. So I think that, yes, you're going to learn a lot, and it is going to allow you to, potentially make more money in the future. You're going to have a better chance of that. But also, you're going to make a lot of great connections to people, and you're really going to have like a solid network. That's what I think has been one of the things that I've benefited most from college, like without even, I guess, knowing about it until, graduating and looking back and saying, would I have met all these amazing people? Would I have met all these amazing connections if I hadn't gone to college? Probably not. So I think that the role that it's playing for me, like currently, and what I see it playing for me in the future is, just setting me up for success, basically. I know a lot of people that I can talk to that I could potentially get jobs from now. And, I might not have known them if I, didn't meet them at this one conference. So that's the role I see it playing.
Thank you, Randy. I had a follow-up question too, because our viewers might not necessarily know what some of these conferences are or what ACEs are. Could you tell them a little bit about what these opportunities are that they might explore during college, and what kind of skills have you gotten from it that you look forward to using in the future?
Yeah. So I mentioned ABLE and ACES. So ABLE is the American Indigenous Business Leaders, and that's sort of like each college can have a chapter. I think you need a certain amount of members to join. You need a committee. So it's basically what I did when I went to the conference is you can compete. They have pitch contests, they have business plan contests, you fundraise, you fund your chapter's way to the conference. This year it was in Las Vegas, so that's pretty fun. And then the ACES is the American Indian Science and Engineering Society. That was in Tulsa, Oklahoma. That was pretty fun. So this one was a leadership summit. So I went there and listened to a lot of, panelists. I listened to a lot of guest speakers. It was like really cool. I got a free book. And the author was there too. So they just, at these conferences, they really try to motivate you and, let you know that, like, it's empowering seeing everyone at these conferences just like you, because you might not know that you have a lot in common with everyone else in the room. Everyone's trying to be a better version of themselves at the end of the day, and that's what I think these conferences and these organizations really bring out in people. Just like the American Indian College Fund, they're right up there too. So I think that really getting, not only going to college, but getting involved with ACES and ABLE, it can really open a ton of doors for you.
Thank
Thank you so much, Randy.
Yes, thank you, Randy. I think it's really exciting to hear about these opportunities that students might not really explore. So it's really nice to have these networking opportunities to meet students and other future staff members who remind you of yourself. So that's great to hear. So next we'll go ahead and move on to Stephanie for the question, what role do you see a college education / degree playing in your life or your future?
Yeah. So my first degree, which was in psychology, that was a way for me to leave the reservation. I grew up around a lot of people who used substances and alcohol, and they were not able to function very well or provide for their families. And that's just not the life that I wanted. And then once I did have my degree and I was looking at the job options out there, I realized that's not really what I wanted to be doing anymore. And so I just took a break from that and am now back in the nursing field, which is what I had originally planned to do when I was in high school. Specifically talking with nursing degrees, there's so many avenues that you can go down that aren't just hospital inpatient nursing. You're always going to have a job if you get your BSN, which is your Bachelor of Science in Nursing. So it's really good job security. That's probably not the only reason you should go into it, because it does revolve around patient care. And there's definitely people that shouldn't be in patient care. But there's management, there's care management, there's the tech side of it, looking at research and statistics. So that was also a big part of my decision to go back into nursing, is knowing that if I get burnt out in one area, I can always go into a different avenue of nursing.
Oh, go ahead, Erin.
Oh, no worries. Did you have a follow-up question, Sandy, that you were?
No, I was just going to actually say, Stephanie, I really appreciated hearing that, even if you find out you're going through school, that one specific thing you were thinking about might not be quite exactly what you find out is your interest, but you can still kind of explore other avenues in that field. That was really powerful to hear from. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandy. I was going to contribute something similar as well, just saying that college is a really great time for discovery, and students should never get discouraged about originally applying with one goal in mind, because there are so many other avenues that might be for you that you'll find exploring. So that's really great to hear that that's, the case for some students and that it works out. So we'll go ahead and move on to our next question. With Stephanie, we'll go ahead and start. How do you use or plan to use, oh, I'm so sorry, Hannah, I'm so sorry. We'll move on next to Hannah. How do you use or plan to use your major to serve your Native community, tribe, or family? Why/how did that affect the major that you picked?
Okay, so I plan on using my degree in education to help me teach any and all of my students about different cultures, including my own Native American one. Now, my culture as a Native American looks different than most because I wasn't raised traditionally, quote unquote, on the reservation. And I feel like I teach them a little piece of Native culture when I explain my last name to them when I first walk into the classroom, because most of the time kids don't understand my last name. They're like, Iron, like they're just not able to put two and two together. But it's great to teach them that you can have last names that are, body parts and animals and things like that. And it wasn't something that I had thought about until after I decided to go through the elementary education program. I didn't realize that I would be able to spread knowledge of my culture to my students. And it was very empowering once I realized that I can do that and I can help break up stereotypes that are in my culture, but other ones as well.
Thank you, Hannah. We'll go ahead and move on to Randy for this question. How do you use or plan to use your major to serve your Native community, tribe, or family? Why/how did that affect the major that you picked?
So this question, and I keep finding out that, how I intend to use my degree, to help my Native community. It keeps evolving, like, every month I'll find out like I could use it in a different way and help this part of my tribe or this part of my tribe. So I think it proves that, no matter what degree you get, there are multiple ways that you can apply the knowledge that you learned in your studies, to help in your tribe. A lot of the stuff that in the classroom I found relates to problems that need to be solved, in my community. So I'm constantly finding different questions and solutions to these questions and relating them back to, my studies as a business student. So I really think that, I originally wasn't a business major, but I think that following that path and, switching from, I was originally going to go into computer science, and my university didn't have a computer science degree. So I had to do business, and I found out that, business is what I loved. And also it aligned with a lot of the problems that my tribe has, tribal economic development, um, which is, I guess, how I explained it was that it looks different for each tribe because each tribe is different. So tribal economic development for my tribe, it could be my tribe starting businesses in local communities and trying to get more funding for, language programs. So it's more so really hitting on that sovereignty that tribes, strive for. Being self-sufficient, having the fundings that they need, and being able to spend them how they want to spend them. If they want to start up a language program or a subsistence fishing program, then they don't have to answer to anyone, whether or not they can use the funds in their budget to spend it on those programs. They can just, ask the board, and if the board agrees, they can do it. So I think that my business degree is really going to help with that whole developing my tribes, and helping my tribe's money problems, so I think that that's how I intend to use my degree for my tribe, at least for now. I might find another way to use it for my tribe's, problems later down the road. But for now, I think it's really just um, being someone in my tribe that is knowledgeable about business and that can give some good advice, and also, teach that to younger people in my tribe. Um, so that's really how I think that my degree will benefit my tribe. And how did that affect the major that I picked? I guess I already explained it. I didn't really pick business as a major. I kind of just fell into it, but I'm happy that I did, because I don't know if being computer science or math would have benefited my tribe as much as my business degree will. So yeah, that's how I think my degree is going to benefit my tribe and how I intend to use it, to better my Native community.
Thank you, Randy. I had a couple of thoughts with what you said that I wanted to share that really stuck out to me. You mentioned tribal sovereignty and the importance of being able to help your tribe. And what we're finding out with a lot of students and communities is that A lot of them do have interest in supporting tribal sovereignty and helping community, and a lot of the Native students that my program, the Higher Pathways program, works with, has interests that align in that. And it's really great to hear that you were able to find a degree that kind of fits within what your hopes and goals are for your tribe and your community. So thank you for speaking to that. For those of you who may not be as familiar with what tribal sovereignty is, every tribe has every tribe, or almost every tribe, has a governing body that has they have the authority to make decisions on behalf of the tribe in a really wide variety of areas: health, education, they call food sovereignty, data sovereignty. So a lot of our tribes are really working to define what life should look like for their members, and they have an authority and a power and a political role in stating what that is and pushing forward for their goals. And so when Randy is talking about tribal sovereignty, he's really talking about the heart of that work that's being done in Native communities. And then Randy, I had one follow-up question for you, and this one doesn't have to be like a long answer, but really quick. When you decided to go from one degree focus to another, was that hard, or what did that look like actually going through the process at the school?
So when I switched from, I guess, computer science to business administration, it was a little, I think if you switch your major, there's always a level of, unsureness there, whether or not you're going to like this major, or whether you're wasting your time or your money, with taking classes tailored for that degree. So I think it kind of just, you're young and you use all the energy that you have, like I did, to kind of dip your toes into different classes, and take an intro to business class, take an intro to programming class. You just take introduction classes and see if you like it. Even if you don't like it, you can always switch out, because like add and drop for colleges usually lasts at least a week or 2 weeks into the semester, which is basically the period where you can drop class and then try a different class. So you get about a week to 2 weeks to get your schedule set for the semester. And there were a lot of classes where I thought that I wouldn't want. I was like, I'm not going to be able to make this the whole semester. But after about 3 weeks, you get into a routine, and the classes get easier and easier. So I think that the transition from one degree to another is it's as hard as you make it.
Thank you, Randy.
Yes, thank you so much for that. I think that was very exciting to hear for prospective students to be thinking about those kinds of things and exploring classes and what resources you do have. We'll go ahead and move on to Stephanie for the question. So how do you use or plan to use your major to serve your Native community, tribe, or family? Why/how did that affect the major that you picked?
I have always been very passionate about health, and just being able to be the healthiest version of yourself and have a quality of life that enables you to do the things that you love to do for as long as possible. I feel like that's not something that Western medicine really focuses on. And so going into nursing, you learn a lot about the body systems and how to care for people who are suffering from all the chronic diseases and emergencies, which is great to have that knowledge, but also um, I am looking forward to being able to learn more about preventive medicine measures and incorporating, sorry, my nose is running, traditional medicine into nursing care, and really working on education with people about how to prevent chronic diseases and how to make lifestyle changes so that they can be there to see their kids or their grandkids grow up, or to continue to hunt and fish, and to gather with their families. And how did that affect the major I picked? I have always been very interested in health and nursing. And so I feel like from a very young age, this is something that I knew I was going to do, and it just took me a while to get here.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Stephanie. All right, we'll go ahead and move on to the last question for our panelists. So we'll start again with Hannah. What advice would you give to fellow students that are going through the first stages of the college going process?
Okay. My advice, can you hear me? Sorry. Yeah, okay. Awesome. My advice would be to never give up. It will get hard and there will be tough days in the college experience, but never give up on yourself or on your education. Like I said earlier in one of my first answers, an education can open so many doors in today's society, and you deserve to give yourself those opportunities. It gets crazy overwhelming, applying for scholarships, going on tours, picking out which applications for which colleges you want to do. I shot for the moon and stars and applied to a big Ivy League university when I was in college. I went on a tour. I even got an interview, and unfortunately I didn't get in, but I ended up going to a huge university instead, and I wouldn't be where I am now without those failures, I guess you could call them. And so never give up, never stop learning from your mistakes. And as Theodore Roosevelt said, nothing worth having comes easy.
Yes, thank you. That's such a good quote to think and have in mind during the beginning stages of, looking at what options you have for college. So I think that that's a very healthy quote to keep in mind. So thank you, Hannah. We'll go ahead and move on to Randy. What advice would you give to fellow students that are going through the first stages of the college going process?
So advice that I would give, I'm kind of going to reframe this question, like to make it easier for me to answer, which is like, what would I tell myself if, when I first started going, when I started the college going process, which is, I wish that I maybe took more time when I was a senior and started looking into colleges earlier, and maybe refresh up on some essay writing skills, because a lot of college essays really try to get you to tell them about yourself, and it can be hard to put your whole personality on to paper or in a 500-word essay. So I think really taking the time to sit down and think about what you want to do, who you are, how can I put who I am onto paper, because it was really hard for me to describe my goals and who I was to college admissions. I didn't figure out until a couple years after I started college, how I was able to put myself onto the paper. And it's hard, I know who I am, I know what I want to do, I know what I like to do, but when I'm putting it on paper, it's almost like I don't, who am I? So I think if you ask yourself those questions, it's going to get easier to write essays about yourself. And that's what they want to hear. They want to know who you are. They want to know, how you do things, what your personality is, what your sense of humor is. So if you are able to put that on paper, you have a really good chance of grabbing the reader's attention and pulling them into your writing and, letting them know who you are. So I think that's a big thing that I kind of missed out on when I was starting my college going journey. And also, I would say, if you have the funding, apply to these schools that you may think you're not going to get into. That's what I wished I did. There's waivers that are available to a lot of Native students, and if your tribe has the funding, then like why not apply to all these schools like Ivy Leagues or Stanford or Berkeley, these really high rated public colleges. I think that it's worth it, because if you're going to aim for something, why not aim for like the best option for you, the best opportunity? No one ever says they want to be second place. Like, you want to be first place. You deserve to be first place. You deserve to talk to these admission colleges and get all these interviews. You just have to put the time and the work in, and it'll be worth it. I've heard so many people say that, oh, I'm not going to apply for this scholarship because I'm probably not going to get anyways. Well, there's been a lot of scholarships that I've applied for that I didn't get, but there's also a lot that I applied for that I thought I wouldn't get that I did get. And I was thanking myself like 6 months ago, like, oh, you were looking out for me. Thank you. Like, I'm glad that I sat down and wrote this essay instead of, going and, I don't know, doing something that maybe not was as productive as that. So I'd say really just like set yourself up for success by starting the grind now, because I kind of waited to the last minute. I mean, everything worked out, but still, I know if I could have saved myself a lot of headaches and stress if I started, even right when I graduated, because a lot of colleges and a lot of deadlines are, rolling throughout the summer. So I'd say like start now, apply to the best colleges that you think that, you want to go to. And I'd say, do your own research online. There's so much resources online that I could have taken advantage of when I was, a senior or, just graduating high school. So I'd say, just spend a lot of time in the next month or so, researching all these resources and where you want to go to college, and, how to apply to colleges too.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Randy. I think that this is all very useful information. I think that the more you go through the process, the more you're really going to learn about yourself and what works for you and what you want for your education. So it's definitely a period to be introspective and think about, what your options are and what you want your choices to be. Thank you. So we'll go ahead and move on with Stephanie. What advice would you give to fellow students that are going through the first stages of the college going process?
I feel like I think about this question a little bit differently now that I'm a mom. But I would say to have a good support system in place, whether that is teachers, aunts, uncles, your friends, grandparents, just people that you can go to when you are feeling stressed or you need a break. And I would second what Randy said. If you can take a class on essay writing or meet with a writing tutor or an advisor to help you with your college essays, that would be of great benefit. And then when you're first in college, I know I struggled being on my own for the very first time, and I did not have family around me. And so I just struggled with the motivation to go to classes and do my homework, because it's all up to you once you're in college. And so I just highly recommend, when you're first in college, paying attention to your class schedule and your syllabus and what's expected of you, and just planning your time accordingly for school time, and then also allowing for social time and to take care of yourself.
Thank you so much. Those were all very great answers. I want to thank our panelists for being so open and honest during this session. I think being straightforward is really what students need to see the full picture of, what could be waiting for them in the future. So thank all three of you for being so open and honest. And if anybody has any follow-up questions, feel free to use the Q&A feature in Zoom. Our panelists are going to hang on for a few minutes. So if you have any specific questions for them, feel free to use that feature. Thank you so much. And we'll go ahead and pass it over to Sandy.
Thank you so much, Erin. I really enjoyed hearing from all of our panelists today. They did such a wonderful job in sharing their college experiences. And I hope that this has given prospective college students and prospective new college students, including high school students, a chance to think about college as an option. You can go on to the next slide, Erin. So we wanted to just give a moment to have students think about this and welcome them on to Mentimeter, thinking about your options after graduation. What do you achieve to hope for what do you hope to achieve for yourself, your family, or your community? Feel free to drop that answer in Mentimeter.com. The code again is 81380022. Thank you so much for dropping the link into the chat, Erin. And we'll just pause here for a moment and allow students to take a moment and think about that. Thank you for those of you who are dropping your answers in the chat. And we know that it may take a while to type some of those, but I just wanted to acknowledge that we have some really great comments here. Someone dropped into our Mentimeter that a college education without the burden of student aid debt. That is such a big concern for many of our students. Like we talked about earlier, if you are concerned about cost of college, we want to remind you that the American Indian College Fund does provide scholarships. Our scholarship application is currently open now through May 31st. You can go to our website. It's www.collegefund.org. Erin, if you could drop in our scholarship links. We actually have a page that goes straight to our website. We have another link that goes straight to the scholarship application. And then we also have application walkthrough videos and a scholarship Q&A from earlier this year that we can share with you. If financial aid is something that you are interested in looking into. We'd also like to remind you that tribal colleges are an option. We have been sharing about that throughout the year. They are the most affordable college in the nation. So thank you for whoever it was that dropped that into the chat. And then somebody else dropped into Mentimeter here to find a career goal that I not only find rewarding, but benefits my community. We love hearing those answers. So thank you for sharing. All right, next slide. All right, we're going to turn it over for the next few minutes to Adriana. She's going to talk a little bit about our first year program summer series and some of the supports that the American Indian College Fund has to help students be successful as they transition into college. Adriana, go ahead.
Hi, thank you, Sandy, and thank you to everybody on the panel. I really enjoyed sitting through your really good, well thought out answers, and
I think it's some really good pieces of advice to take on for any students out there who are planning to go to college, whether you're fresh out of high school or whether you're somewhere down the line in the path of journey or life journey that we call. There's always going to be a place for you, and no matter where you go to start your college. And that's basically what our mission is with the first year program. So let me just quickly introduce myself. My name is Adriana So. I am a college success coach with the American Indian College Fund with the Student Services. So I work with Sandy and Aaron here at the College Fund. And like we said, we do offer a scholarship, the Full Circle Scholarship. And once you're awarded one of those scholarships, you are placed with one of 3 college success coaches, myself or the 2 other coaches, to help you guide through the journey of college, whether it's life and balance or mental health and cultural awareness. We do different programming with that basically, but one other program we do is the first year program, and we're going to be starting our summer series here pretty soon in August of 2023 this year. So for any students right now or staff, faculty, family members, if you have anybody in mind who's going to be going into their first year of college, again, doesn't matter, there's no age limit or anything. We're going to be hosting 3 weeks of different programming and events, all regarding around your first year of college or university. And some topics to be covered are going to include, intro to college terminology, different things like what it means to be a full-time student, what it means to be part-time, financial aid information, just different terms that you might hear when you're getting into college, time management, how to juggle your life and social life, and then also with college as well, your classes, stress coping mechanisms, because it is going to get very challenging at times, and we want to make sure that we're giving you some good mechanisms to fall back on. We're also going to have some panel discussions as well with some first year advisors at some tribal colleges and universities, so we're really excited about that. And then again, looking for additional financial aid, because there are so many different scholarships that you can apply for, and while you might get denied for one, there's always going to be another one waiting for you to apply for. So many opportunities. This is all going to be discussed and covered in the summer series. So again, please, if you're interested, sign up with this link here. That's where you're going to be contacted with. And we're also going to be doing our first year program newsletter, where you're going to hear about more events leading up to the summer series as well, happening in August. If you are interested, again, if you're a student who's going into your first year of college, or you have a family member, relative, friend, your staff, your teacher who have students that you would like to be a part of this, please tell them about this. You can sign up for it yourself, and we'll be in contact with you that way. But any questions, feel free to reach out to me. My information is right there, aso@collegefund.org. Thank you.
Thank you so much for speaking on the first year program. It's just such a great way to kind of wrap up some of those conversations we had, and thinking about what we can do to support students as an organization as they consider college as an option. All right, Erin, next slide. We're going to wrap up our day with a few things. We just wanted to do some reminders, and like we said earlier, we have the American Indian College Fund scholarship. We call it the Full Circle Scholarship. Just some stats on what we do and what we give. From 21-22, we dispersed over 11.8 million in scholarship funds, and that awarded over 3,200 students attending 250 different colleges and universities. And we provided these scholarships for students pursuing a really wide variety of degree levels and degree types. The eligibility for our scholarship is that students just must plan to be a full-time enrolled student. It should say fall 2024. I forgot to change that on the slide here. And then they should be attending an accredited nonprofit college or university. The cumulative GPA should be at least a 2.0, and they should be an enrolled tribal member or descendant of one. And the application priority deadline is open through May 31st. All right, next slide. We are still offering scholarship incentives to students who attend higher pathways schools. So earlier I mentioned that there's a list of about 72 partners. I think about 58 of them are schools that receive a special grant from the American Indian College Fund. Not everybody listening here might necessarily attend one of those schools, but if you are, you probably have seen this flyer in your school. I've been working with the staff to get the information out that if you are one of those Higher Pathways program schools, we're offering incentives for students to complete, high school students to complete the scholarship and earn a $25 e-gift card. We still have those going on. I will say they are first come, first served. Right now we have about 68 students currently applying, and we have about maybe 70 or 72, I can't remember exactly off the top of my head, gift cards left. So as those are first come, first served, if you go to one of those program schools and you're seeing this flyer in your school, and this flyer has been shared by your school counselor or your school teacher, and you're interested in this gift card, please act quickly to get your application in before we run out of those funds. All right, next slide. We would like to also invite all staff, all students, high school and college, and all parents, pretty much everybody, to attend our virtual summer conference. That is happening this June 13th through the 15th. It's going to be 10 a.m. Mountain Time to 2:30 Mountain Time on those days. This is a virtual summer conference. We will have a lot of webinars like this one for students that are in high school. We'll have webinars for students who are currently in college. I think essay writing might even be on one of the topics. We just talked about that today. And we'll be going over college skills and things that students need to be successful in college. We will also have staff tracks and professional development for tribal college staff, and high school staff. So staff, we really hope to see you there as well. And parents are always welcome to attend. There's a lot of really great information for families provided at this event as well. So thank you so much for dropping the link to register, Erin. I will make sure that we also include all of these links in our follow-up email tomorrow when we send out the recording of this event. All right, next slide. So we'll be providing all of the links today that we've been dropping in the chat, including our scholarship links. If you have any questions about completed the FAFSA, if you're a student, we did events earlier this year. We will be sharing those recordings as well. And we also would like to welcome our high school staff and our high school students and families of high school students to complete our survey for today's event for prizes. We ask that you complete by Friday, May 26th. That way, we're going to give some time for students at our Higher Pathways program schools to watch the recording if they weren't able to attend live. And the link is on the last page here, and Erin just dropped that in the webinar chat, and we'll also include that in the follow-up email tomorrow. So we hope to see you provide some feedback for us on how this event impacted you and your students, or if you're a family member, if you had any questions, there'll be places to provide feedback. We really hope to hear back from you, and we'll be raffling off some fun stuff end of next week. Thank you so much for attending today. Koyana, Kairuting Daimani, thank you for coming to College as a Choice. Have a good day.